Ambedkarism, Marxism, liberalism, Dravidianism, feminism, Gandhiism. What role are these great big isms of the 20th century playing in the 21st century? What relevance do they have today?
Have a tree.
I'm an atheist in the same way as I'm an leprechaun.
Why have there been casteism existing in the country still today?
Feminism, by definition, is the belief that men and women should have equal
So the
rights.
nature of the system is to be as mean and rotten as you can, to try to maximize profit.
I'm Sudipto Mondal, and welcome to this episode of What's Your Ism?
Hello and welcome to What's Your Ism? I am in a place called Perendal Manna in Malappuram district, and I'm being hosted by the Islamic Mission Trust, which runs a group of educational institutions in Malappuram under the banner of the knowledge world. I'm here to interview a very special student that has just joined this campus as part of the IMT Law College. I'm here to interview a person that many of you might know, but in case you don't, he's the founder of a very, very famous media outlet called Dalit Camera. Those of you who might be exposed to student politics might know of an organization called Damsa, which is Dalit Adivasi Bahujan Muslim Students Association, which was started in the English and Foreign Languages University in Hyderabad. I'm here with Dr. Ravichandran Bathran, or as he's now known now, Dr. Raees Muhammad. Raees, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. Hi.
Walaikum assalam. We're going to talk about this journey from Ravichandran Bathran to Raees Muhammad, of course. That's going to form a big part of our conversation.
Yeah.
But before I get into that, I want to first find out why you're here. And to get to understand why you're here, I think the journey of the last decade or so is important to talk about. What happened with Dalit Camera, what happened with Damsa, the organization that you started, what happened in EFLU, and how it brought you here. So for the sake of the people who don't know this entire history, can we start with your time in EFLU, in the English and Foreign Languages University? You were one of the founders of Damsa, and what happened to Damsa? Without getting into any legal trouble, can you tell us in a kind of a concise way what happened to Damsa, this organization, which was the first anti-caste organization in EFLU, right?
Yes. I was not a founder of that Damsa, but Damsa is a organization which taught me about caste. And when I went to English and Foreign Languages University, erstwhile it was CIEFL, Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages, I went there to study English to become a civil servant, as a bureaucrat. After I went there, the Damsa, the Dalit organization members, they told me, you come from a scavenging background of Tamil Nadu, and you do not know the history of yours. You should know your history. If you know your history, you won't be going as a civil servant. So I said that no, everything is fine if you do civils and you can become a bureaucrat and you can help the community. Then, however, I started reading about my community, and it was paining. It was paining, because from my childhood, my mother and the parents used to speak about their experiences, what they had as a sanitation worker. It did not impact me at that point of time, but when I came to know about the caste, and when I knew about this, Damsa was talking about how to take your roots, to study your roots, and the poison bread and various other books they referred, and I started questioning myself. Then only I came to know in Tamil Nadu, we are not even recognized as a citizen of Tamil Nadu.
And that, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that you don't just come from the Dalit community, but you come from a sub-community of the Arundhatiyar community, which is the Chaklier community. Right? So we will talk about that, because one of the things I want to talk about, right, quickly. So Dr. Muhammad is one of the people who is considered an authority on the subject of subclassification of the SC category. His paper on the matter was cited by the Supreme Court in its recent judgment. I'm going to talk about that. But coming back, so we are talking about 2014 when you joined.
I joined 2004.
2004, you joined.
I have joined
EFLU.
And then in the process, I learned from the scratch. I did not know what caste is. And then I started learning caste, and then I started this Dalit Camera because I was a student secretary. So I wanted to do some kind of, can I go ahead, or how much time I have?
You have all the time.
Oh, this is
I've
fun.
come what, like, 500 kilometers just to interview you.
Yeah, first I should thank you, Sudipto Mondal, and I really thank you. I love you. And also, I love your news minute. And Danya Rajendran has been very supportive whenever we took up issues on caste. And I have to humbly thank and for Danya. The reason is whenever there was sanitation workers protest or harassment, nobody was ready to take. Even though, you know, that in sexual harassment, women do not come out openly to say. And even Danya knows it. But Danya is the only person who knew there is something problem. But we need to address. So she did take so much of risk, and she did something, and it changed her article, News Minute, because of that intervention. A lot of things on sanitation workers got changed in the Nilgiri district of Tamil Nadu. I think there should be Danya Rajendran, many of the Danya Rajendran has to be in the many newslets. Anyway, coming to the point, after I went there, I started learning caste, and I was thinking practically, I was thinking like a Gandhian, that things would change if you work, all of us should work. Then I started cleaning tables and washing toilets. It was everything I was doing. And later part, my friends used to criticize.
Cleaning tables and washing toilets. What?
Yeah, in the sense, you know, clean drive, you in campuses is a very fashion, having a clean drive, like Swachh Bharat, what Narendra Modi does now, we was doing in that time.
Right.
So, but my Damsa was very critical about me. Damsa was a very, very political organization. I have never seen a political organization that in my entire life.
I was under the impression that you were one of the co-founders of Damsa. That's not.
No. When I went there, Damsa was very strong. But when we went there, it became vibrant because of the team of students who joined there.
Where?
So then we were doing some work there, and then we were Gandhian. Many people criticized it. I said that, no, what is the problem? We should do our work. And then I found that a sanitation worker was getting into a manhole. This was the first intervention. And that time, Frontline published an article about the sanitation workers getting into the manhole and manual scavenging. And I literally cried. Emotional assholes we are, Dalits. So I went into the library, I sat and I was crying. I couldn't even read. Then I went to my friend and I told him, our caste Hindu friend, he said that, okay, what shall we do? We should do something here in this campus we should do. So we thought that students can unite and do something. We couldn't do much because the administration said, if you have to do something, you should be part of power structure, like students' union somewhere. You have to be. Otherwise, you can't demand something for the workers.
So you want to do something for the sanitation workers of the campus.
Yeah, workers not to enter into the manhole.
In the campus.
So that time, we went to many of the prominent NGOs whom I do not want to refer here, asked them to bring this manual scavenging, manholes into your team of work. They said no. What they said is, you show us a dry Latin. We would go there and we will demolish. We can't talk about manhole now because it is not in our agenda. Because we don't get funding. Manhole was not very popular then. But I was speaking then, myself and Sareen, when he's the evidence for that, and then witness for that. So therefore, I came back and I said that, okay, I'll become a secretary and I'll buy them all the materials, safety materials. So I was talking.
Okay.
Then
the conversation shifted from,
yeah,
okay, let's be part of the cleanliness drive.
Yeah.
To, okay, now next level, okay, safety is the problem.
Yeah, safety is the problem. Let us get into the safety. Then I became a secretary. And I was the best secretary. I would say this. You know that many people won't say themselves. I'm like Mayawati, which I learned. If you don't say about yourself, nobody is going to write a book about you. But I can say when I'm alive that, yes, I was the best secretary. If they want to say, they can say, but I was the best secretary. For an example, I would say, even if there was a toilet blockade in a women's hostel, they would call me and say, Ravi, please, my toilet is blocked. You come and see it. Then I would go. So I had sorted out every issue. And most importantly, after I became the secretary, we made sure as a team of friends who were there, we made sure not a single person doesn't get an accommodation. Everybody gets accommodation, complete 100%. We fought, and there was a great Vice Chancellor, Abhay Maurya. He supported us and he rented flats for the first time in the history of students' politics. We made sure everybody gets accommodation. So that one we did. And after that, every student's issue we were addressing. But I couldn't address the sanitation workers. I was wondering that, I thought if I become a secretary, I can address. Then I saw, after I became a secretary, I'm doing everything for the larger community, not for Dalits. Because if I need to do a Dalits, I have to get approval of the secretaries. And otherwise, the Dalit movement on the ground has to be strongly demanding. Then we can say, oh, see, they are demanding, you can do. If they don't demand, if you have an idea, you can't implement. That one I experienced. Then I found, what am I doing here? Then I said, okay, fine. I completed that. Then I left and I felt that administration also, as an authoritative bureaucratic, you cannot address the caste issue. Because caste is a social issue, not a political issue. So the political issue, social issue, but not an administrative issue. So therefore, I came back and I then joined Damsa. Usually it is the other way. Everybody from Damsa goes to secretary. I became a secretary and then came to Damsa. I was a participant as a secretary, then student secretary, then I came to Damsa. And in Damsa, I was working very hard. And then there was a group politics, Damsa. They started attacking me in the name of Telangana. And they beat me up, some ABVP guys. At that time, ABVP was not that strong. There were some 20 ABVP people because I called Asaduddin OSU for the first time into our campus. And I called Varavara. We had series of meetings, lectures, national level. Gilani, SAR Gilani used to come there. So we had a vibrant debates were happening. So there were local people who started saying this Chaklier coming from Tamil Nadu, he's dominating us. Oh, he's having an upper hand. Because I mobilized the faculties, I did everything. So then there was a group politics among Damsas. The group politics is, how can he can do this? Then they attacked me. When they attacked me, 20 people, all of my friends said that they attacked you in the name of Telangana. So therefore, we can't help you. I was so shocked because you work some 7 years you work for campus. In my campus, even the vice chancellor would be, he would say that he used to have nightmares because of me to his friends. He used to go and tell them, please ask him not to do anything. And there were offers for me that you be quiet, you'll get a job. I said, no, if you just prove me that I'm wrong in my agendas, then I will resign from my work, resign from my students also, as a student also. But it didn't happen. Then students were not very supportive. Then I got beaten up and I thought, what am I doing? What so much I did, nothing's there. So at that point of time, in the meantime, I started a Google group of Chakliers. And I was mailing and all. Then that time when I got attacked, there was another Krishnaveni, Panchayat president of a Chaklier woman, got manhandled because she was a Panchayat president working well. And that entire caste Hindus joined hands and attacked her.
Where was this?
In Nellai district.
Tamil Nadu.
In Tamil Nadu. So that she was brutally attacked, but she survived. Brutally attacked, and the video got circulated. Small video that I circulated widely. Widely I circulated. And since you should know that before I went to the campus, I was working as a light boy for marriage. So I know the power of video because archiving is very important. I knew that point of time itself. And they never gave me a camera to handle. So therefore, when Krishnaveni got attacked, I mailed everyone. And there were many people who were curious. Why don't you take a video? Why don't you go and take a video? Then we mobilized funds. And that was the first time I decided, people like me, nobody came and supported. Nobody came and took a video of you, how great you worked. So at least I'll do that work. I'll fill that blank. So therefore, I started going across the places, recording the voices which had not been covered. That's how Dalit Camera emerged.
Right, okay.
And everybody were happy. When I covered, they were happy that, oh, I got recognition. Nobody will watch. 10 people will watch. But that guy will call and cry. He will say, I worked this many years and nobody recognized me. But now people are calling me and saying that you did great work. One example I'll give, Sharat Nalgandi. I took his video.
The student leader.
Yeah, students leader and very vibrant.
From Osmania.
Yeah, Osmania. See, because, before as a footnote, Sharat Nalgandi would have been a great person only because he is born in a Madhya community who's not supported financially. He's in that condition. The condition means he could have been somewhere else as a musician. I spoke to every musician in Tamil Nadu. Why don't you go to Sharat Nalgandi? Why don't you encourage people like that? No, they are very casteist. Like Parayars in Tamil Nadu will say, like Paranjit would, I would say openly, Paranjit will look for only malas or Parayas. They are not open to it. So people like talented people like Sharat Nalgandi and all goes for drain. I have to say that. So what he did, he used to drum since a childhood. So he sung a song, beef song. Nobody can make a beef song like him. He made it in 5 minutes. So later what happened, that song was circulated and his friend saw from abroad. He called him and cried with the Sharad. And he said, Sharad, I apologize. What I did in your childhood. He asked what? He said, whenever you were drumming, I used to say, why are you doing your caste occupation? But now I understand your pain, Ra, and what kind of music you have. It's because of your caste, you're like this. Otherwise, you would have been some great musician. So that he called me and said, this is my... And there were so many instances of it. Even movement people used to say, I protested so much, there was no appreciation. After you put up a video, there are so much of appreciation, views are there. So I really like Dalit Camera. So everybody started appreciating. So I wanted to be that person who filled the blanks of who's not going and supporting others. For example, as you, as a Sudipto Mondal also, and housing me also, nobody will come and support us, our credits, our... I'm not asking to come and support. See, in a caste society, you're grained and people need you to support. Otherwise, you live isolated in a world of island. So that is the reason, that's how this Dalit Camera emerged from this. And Dalit Camera experience is what made me to come and study law now.
That part, okay, there's a huge part you've jumped.
Yeah, big jump.
Yeah, because it doesn't go like that. The Dalit Camera chapter and the law chapter has a lot of stuff in between. Just one quick thing about the EFLU experience. So then you were part of Damsa. There were these kind of internal conflicts, of course, but more than anything else, 5 of you had criminal cases filed against you for defamation for some protests, and that had a massive impact on your prospects as an academic. You went to the Western Cape University in South Africa for your postdoc, in spite of which, when you came back, I think, when was it, in 2020 when you came back? 2020.
During COVID, yeah.
During COVID time, you finished your postdoc and you came back, and no campus in India would hire you. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's a fact. One thing is...
your reputation preceded you. They saw you as somebody who...
No, that's very funny. This is, I have to say. You forget about the other universities, because you can say all Brahminical universities. I'll tell you one funny story. One thing, Damsa, there was a group clash and I got beaten up only by Damsa, okay? Not members who were also part of there, okay? And they are also ABVP, ideological people. Same thing, I applied for 20 abroad universities. I took 2 reviewers, reference you have to give. And I took 2 references. One reference was one person, other person was from my campus who's a Dalit. Apparently, one of the person, what he sent is, he sent my judgment along with this reference letter saying, this guy has criminal case and he got defamation convicted and this is a judgment. So you check about this also. Is this the way a professor writes? He's a Dalit. And at the end of the day, see, I started writing for reviewers. Many places I got rejected. Okay. I did not know why. And only one place mailed me along with this judgment. Because I know the judgment whom I circulated. Because I scanned it. Because when you scan...
This is the conviction judgment you took.
Yeah, in defamation, see, actually, Dalit faculties in EFLU campus, they did not stand with students. They ditched us, actually. They ditched 5 of our lives. In the name of Dalits, but we students stood for the students. Faculty, we fought against the faculties. And these Dalit faculties who were in the committee, who said that in this committee, that faculty did wrong. And they did not have courage to come to the court to witness against that faculty. Because they all joined as a faculty, caste and those Dalits, everybody. It was so ruthlessly. I would blame the Dalit faculties of English and Foreign Languages University, particularly few people, I'm not saying everyone. And even if they go against me, because I want them to know what they've done to 5 of our students in our life. They're really, a Dalit coming that far, how much of their family would have sacrificed?
Talking about the distance you have traveled, to give a sense, I mean, you come from a family which was employed in the city corporation, for sanitation work. And you finish your PhD from EFLU, you go for a postdoc to South Africa, you don't get a job, and you go right back to your...
septic tank cleaning. Yeah, after South Africa, I came back and I was cleaning septic tanks. Now, people would say that, why did he choose that? He should have, they would say that, why did he go to his traditional occupation? See, the problem is I did not go there. I was forced. I love research, okay? why I love research, I feel that Dalit question has not been addressed completely. Not even a single iota of Dalit. You only talk about atrocities. There is no Dalit theoretical. There is no jurisprudence of Dalits. I would say that even they don't know the point of reservation, the meaning of reservation. Dalits actually. So there is nil research apart from Ambedkar. I would hardly see, apart from the movement, I have great respect for the activist movements like Dalit Panthers of India, various other movements what are happening. Even if they did some wrong, I have a great respect for them. But intellectuals have just become stooges using Dalit question for their own benefit. So I found there was no research has been done, because in Dalit Camera, for example, I learned everything from Dalit Camera, not by books. I found something, there were classic difference, a gap between Dalit Camera voices and the bookish literature or Dalits. So that is why
the empirical work that you were conducting was giving you more.
That is why this Dalit Camera, what I did is I'm just covering, because academicians and the literatures and the ground cannot be separated. Okay, these guys represent this and these guys take from here, because everybody looks academicians as a prominent figure, right? And these researchers do not come in, activists don't come and have the chance to speak what they feel. And these Dalits are all armchair researchers. So what happened is, every time there is an atrocity, there is a rule. And I've been seeing that from Karamchedu, Chundur, even Vempeta, even Lakshmipuram, Lakshmipeta, until Lakshmipeta also, even now whatever happening, it is happening the same rule. Therefore, I told my friends, because Dalit Camera had a big team, I said, I'll do research. So I think I found something very interesting about caste, because I was working on sanitation. I understood that the way we understand sanitation has not been studied properly. So my friends in Dalit Camera understood, okay, he's doing something new, so let us work Dalit Camera. Then I went to Indian Stuff Advanced Study to explore that idea. That is how. So
research about sanitation.
Research. And then I went to Western Cape, and Dalit Camera was handled by various other people. The reason is Dalit Camera work is to record and upload. And there is nothing new is coming from the movement or intellectuals. So it is a repetition. So I do not have just interest, because I need to contribute something. And I'm not here to popularize Dalit Camera, earn money from that. No. My idea is to address some problem and find the problem in that question. So therefore I went to South Africa, I developed an idea. And it is there, that is the idea I developed. And first time, I can say this, architecture and caste, I developed this idea. My understanding, my intervention in caste studies is, architecture and caste cannot be, space and caste cannot be separated. For an example, you are in India, you have caste. You go to South Africa, you don't meet an Indian, there is no caste. The body is there, but there is no space. A spatial location is not there. So at the same time, where you meet another Indian, a space is created there. Otherwise, there is no caste. So caste is eradicated. It is not that caste can never be eradicated. It's a birth category. No. That is all. I don't believe this is all literatures which says that if they go against Ambedkar. Ambedkar wrote Annihilation of Caste. How to annihilate caste? Okay, he never said that caste can never be annihilated. But now what Dalits are saying, caste can never be annihilated. So all of us sit on our own chairs and do it. So therefore, what I understood is, caste is reproduced by space. See, for example, what we all studied in Dalit literatures everywhere, caste is about violence, about meeting each other. Like, for example, what I said, you meet another human being in South Africa, you have a caste there. But you don't need to meet anybody there. You just go to a temple, space, you will know what caste is. So caste is reproduced in space, not by women's body, as Mary Douglas and Veena Das, all of them have misrepresented, misstudied for their own conveniences, like the judiciary has done. Indian judiciary has conveniently argued, demolished the caste and brought this category called merit. Similarly, in academics, what they did is, they conveniently blocked this entire space and brought women as a central force. Therefore, all these women, cast into women, can be central of women. But actually, no. Women are not producing caste. They're just producing babies. Doesn't mean they produce caste. Caste is not that. Caste is how it reproduces toilet. See, that's what
that's what. So you took a very wide sweep over there. Coming back, you're talking about caste, you're talking about architecture. And in that, what I remember of your work is that you're talking about the architecture of town planning, where, what kind of drainage systems are designed and things like that. You went into the anthropology of drainage systems. Is that correct?
Yeah, anthropology of architecture of toilets.
Of toilets. And
I won't use this big word of anthropology. But what I found is, see, this is physics I took. I used to sit in toilets and think a lot about where does this manual scavenging problem end? Because as I said earlier, it was dry latins. Now it is manhole. Tomorrow it will be something septic tanks. These all things would be coming year after year. Similarly, atrocities. 1980s atrocities, 1990s, the 2000, now also atrocities. So it is continuing. So where does this go? I'm always going in a deadlock. What is it called? Deadlock, I go hit it.
A dead end.
Dead end. Yeah, I go to a dead end. Then I found Zizek's was very interesting. Zizek said, in a society, if you want to read the society's culture, you should go to their toilet usage. And you find, then it blew my mind. I found Indian toilet architecture was very casteist in nature. See, for example, this is how I say, Britishers, this is CSDS, I went for an interview and they laughed at me, mocked at me. Last time I said I misspelled some names, but I forgot that names. But certainly, even if they go for defamation, I know that they even if they go, it's fine, because I had an experience there and they sincerely laughed at me.
What is the
content is, I was saying Britishers came to India, and Britishers, they say that empowered caste or they promoted caste, they used to say. No, that is wrong. Architecture shows Britishers incorporated caste, because otherwise Indians are not allowing them to work. For an example, British architectures all had same architecture like the London architectures. But what happened, what is uniqueness of India is, in India, the sweepers had a separate entrance and the cooks, servants had a separate entrance, which is unique for Indian architecture of the Britishers, not in the abroad. And in India, the rolling staircase is actually sanitation workers' untouchable architecture. So I was arguing the Britishers came to India.
What is the rolling staircase?
For example, they should not come in the main entrance.
Okay.
So they'll keep one rolling entrance behind the back. The sanitation worker would come and he'll clean the toilets and he will go. So these are the architectures. So this architecture was reproduced. And even when they organized sanitation workers' quotas, they kept servant quotas separately, sanitation workers, sweepers' quotas separately. And this was in the blueprint of British architecture. So I told this and they started laughing at.
Raees, this is a topic in which, of course, you've gone very deeply, and I do want to engage with this. But I came with the plan of discussing two topics actually in this conversation, and one is this conversion to Islam, your conversion to Islam, and the second is the subclassification question. But for starters, I mean, you were running a sanitation company in the Nilgiris. That's the last I heard, and when I called you for the interview, you said that you're studying law in Malappuram. What exactly happened? Why are you taking up law? I want you to answer that question quickly, and then we'll go into the meat of this discussion. Why are you taking up law again?
I was, as I was working as a sanitation worker, as a septic tank cleaner in my area, why I was working is so simply what my research I found, the sanitation work has a stigma in India. And nobody's addressing the stigma. All the NGOs, all the Dalits would say, don't work. But who's going to address that stigma? And the stigma is religiously attached. So therefore, I found in our research that nobody's addressing this. So in my area, there were 21 vehicles are there, almost 21 to 30 vehicles. All are from the other community, from other districts. So it's a huge amount, a big business. So I went and asked my community.
So the workers are all...
nobody, everybody's outside. Everybody's outside. Nobody's from local. So I went and asked my community, why don't you work this? Because somebody else is doing, you do work at night and get a manual scavenging work you do. They just keep a motor, very minimal work they do, and they get a huge amount and respectful life. So I said, why don't you do that? They said, no, it is a stigma. I said, what stigma? Money, what money stigmas? Because this is a contribution of, this stigma is contributed by Dalits. Upper castes are working. They're not worried about it. So I said, okay, I will work. And now two people have started the vehicle. They're now competitors to me. So that's why. And during that process, we also became, my partner Karpagam became a counselor. And once she became a counselor, we started addressing many legal issues, all the time police station. And we always go to a lawyer. It is then I understood, I did postdoctorate, collector doesn't respect me. Even a local writer doesn't respect me.
At the police station.
Yeah, and every time you need a lawyer. Even 100 people of sanitation workers protest, you need a lawyer to come and intervene. And it is then I understood Ambedkar's value of holding a constitution. I always think, why constitution? But actually, when you read Ambedkar from the, when you interpret Ambedkar, when he said that tomorrow we are going to enter a new world, there is a doctrine of equality and there is a society which is very unequal. We are going to enter into contradictory. In that contradictory, what Ambedkar meant is only the constitution can give you the protection. And only this constitutional values can give you protection. And if you want to experience the equality, as an individual in this country, you cannot, unless and until you are a lawyer. Even if you read constitution, no, unless and until you have a qualified degree of law, then as a lawyer, you can experience, you can help the community. And in my district, I hardly found any Dalits working there as a lawyer. And I was wondering about that, why? Then I asked my community people, now one girl is doing in a Sayal, and I'm planning to do that also. So I thought that in my lifetime, I believe that all the Dalits, whether you study anything, whether you study whatever you want to study, but the field of law, you should study for not only for other empowerment, even for ourselves also, that is needed. So that is why I chose law. And law has been my passion for quite a long time. And since subclassification judgment came, I asked my friends to help me and they supported me. And IMT Law College was a lovable place. It was like paradise.
They invited you to come and be part of their...
Yeah, I loved this campus because I earlier went to some other campus. It was run by some Hindu Swami trust, and I'm a very secular person, secular, quote unquote secular, and I cannot be against any fundamentalist ideology. So therefore, I do not want to be there, and I want to have a community life, and I loved this IMT Law College.
Let's pick up on that thought, this thing of community.
Yeah.
You converted to Islam,
yeah,
and it created a flutter.
Yeah.
Let's start with the different types of flutters
Yeah.
it created. Different people reacted differently. I suppose among the Ambedkarite groups, there was a lot of resentment. I don't know if that's too strong a word to use. Saying, well, Ambedkar said convert to Buddhism, but you converted to Islam. What exactly was the thought behind that?
See, this is everything in my life. What I did has some personal reason. Everything, and personally experienced political reason. For an example, I did my sanitation work, research, I found stigma, I started septic tank business. In my research, what I found, toilet is central to caste. For an example, if you go to a school, in olden days, even now maybe, but in olden days, schools were considered as a temple of learning. In a temple, they did not have toilets. When I studied, there was no toilet. I used to go to bushes to relieve during my class days, and I will not have water to wash. And then for urinating, we will have some walls, that boundaries, you have to go and urinate. I was wondering why. Even for women teachers, there was only one toilet, and men teacher only one toilet. So, and this toilet started interesting. Delhi Metro case, in Delhi Metro, they did not have toilets when they constructed. In Indian stuff, advanced study, not in Indian stuff. In my English and Foreign Languages University, they constructed an English and Foreign Languages building. They did not have water and they did not have toilets. Forget about that. Just come to the root of it. In the root, no temples have toilets inside. Temples do not allow toilets inside the architecture premise. It also doesn't allow officially Dalits into the temple. Not Dalits, slippers. So slippers is a symbol of Dalits. Okay. Why slippers are symbol of Dalits is because Dalits stitch the slippers. Therefore, slippers are not allowed into the temple. Dalits are not allowed into the temple. Toilets are not allowed into the temple. So there is a connection. Interestingly, you go to church, you say in Christianity how there is caste. In church, you have toilets, okay? Because for the namesake, they will keep 2 toilets and they will never use it. And that is why you go to any church festivals, you will find shits everywhere. Same thing, Mahakumbh Mela, you see, all the defecations. I used to go to Pamba River, Ayyappa Swami temple. My father was a Guru Swami, and I went 6 times to Ayyappa Swami temple. And in Pamba only we used to go and shit. There was no toilet. at that point of time.
So how is that connected to Islam? I mean,
No, I just was saying. Then these all things I was studying. Then I went to a masjid, Hyderabad masjid, and I found 10-20 toilets were constructed in the old masjid. And it was mind blowing. Then I went to a dargah. In dargah, people can fart and just 5 meters, not even 5 meters, 5 or 10 feet maximum, toilet and the place of worship. They did not consider this as a purity or pollution. So now you calculate.
that binary in your eyes was completely
No, it mind blowing for me. It blew my mind. And then you go to research of this Kilvanmani, not Kilvanmani, Rahamat Nagar, Meenakshipuram conversion.
Meenakshipuram conversions.
It's not conversion, they embrace Islam. And then they embrace Islam. It was a revolution.
Yeah.
You know how revolution, the entire government came to them and asked, don't, when you go to Buddhism, nobody comes. Okay. And when they say, because, you know, Islam takes you somewhere and puts you. Let me put this way. In caste, what it makes you is, in caste system, it makes you to hate yourself. See, it is a brutal, caste is a hatred, okay? It is a brutal system in the world. One among the brutal system in the world. See, a daughter marries a Dalit. The daughter is murdered by the family. For them, what is important? Not the daughter. Caste is important. So I find this, and you know, our mucus, our puberty, our daughters, sisters who get puberty, we say that, don't know, you go and sit there. And my mother, for example, she gave me birth. If my mother is not allowed into some worship place, I will never go to that worship place. Why should I go? But in particular religion, they say that, no, you approve it. You enforce the law. No, somebody else is not coming and enforcing the law. We enforce. Everybody enforces. For an example, I tell my mother, mother, don't come. You are puberty. This time I'm wearing mala. You don't come here. As though Ayyappa has also God, mother, everybody, right? I shouldn't go into defamation. No. So what I mean is, everybody has parents, right? Without mothers home, nobody's getting birth. You have to respect your mother. So the love for oneself is not there. But in Islam, as soon as you embrace or you go to the masjid, they ask you to wash your feet, and they say, whether you unclean or clean, you just clean your body and come inside. You do wudu, you come inside. And then they say you are equal now for us. So the concept of cleanliness, concept of purity, pollution in Islam is very different. The concept in Hinduism is that you can never have toilet in the sacred place. Okay.
But you spoke about, your mother or women in your family not being allowed during certain times of the month inside a temple. But inside a mosque, in any case, that's not an option at all, right?
No, you can have a separate mosque. No. For example, there is a rule. See, in Islam, when you enter into a mosque, anybody enters, you have to stand next to each other, touching the body. So what Islam says is, if women comes into the place of where men also do pray, they have to touch each other and stand, right? So therefore, Islam says, you have your own work and you have your own work. That's how it is implemented, that is different. But here in my campus, if you see, there is separate masjid for women and separate masjid for men. So I'm not saying everything is right, but the point of equality, the point of loving each other, that love, that kindness, for example, even COVID. In COVID, I'll put, as soon as I embrace Islam, it was a COVID time, Muslims were calling and asking, did you have rice to eat? My Chaklier community, how many Hindus called me and said, do you have, one thing in my area, all the caste names have chariot, but they don't want to keep my community name in the chariot. My community, Chaklier community, chariot. Counter community chariot is there.
Chariot for?
Pulling a chariot of a lord. So
the chariot festival.
Yeah, festival.
So each community will have its own.
Yeah, own under name, but not my caste name. And my caste have been carrying the chariot on their head. When during the men and women those days, it is bettermost light. The bettermost light they should keep on the head. They should walk 5 kilometers with the 5 liters, 5 kg, that one. When you keep the bettermost light, all the flies would come. It will be attacking you, it will be very much hot. But when the electricity came and it became very popular, now these guys are not there. You don't even respect, you don't even allow them into the temple. So it is another thing I'll ask. When my mother died, they asked me to burn my mother. Okay, it's a tradition. They said you have to burn. I told my mother, if a single fire falls on my mother, I will kill all of you. The reason is, my mother will hurt herself if I get a burn, a small scratch. Then how can I burn my mother? What kind of a logic was that? Then I went to bury my mother. When I buried my mother, they said, this is not your place is down. I asked why, because that is Chaklier's burial ground. I asked why we are all together, right? We are all Hindus, right? Why are you not, my mother worked, okay? My mother wiped all the asses, okay, of those, because my mother was a school ayah. She used to wipe all the asses, and most of the caste Hindus' asses my mother would have washed. And they have a great respect. I'm not saying in a sarcastic way. That was a very lovable my mother was doing, and they are also very great people. But I'm saying that in a larger understanding politically, if you see, my mother was not considered human. And my mother contested the elections, okay, as a sanitation worker. The teacher from the school where she worked, they said, "Iva Chaklier kootravanna naaliki vandu counselor ana enna panna mudiyum." So you see, they don't consider as a human. But as soon as I embrace Islam, one big guy comes and hugs me. They say, "What do you want?" I work as a septic tank cleaner. I say, "Septic tank bhai." My other names, I keep septic tank bhai. And I keep Raees Muhammad on my septic tank. Nobody called me and said, "Don't keep this name." When I went into septic tank, all Dalits started abusing me. Why this asshole is going working a septic tank? Okay, I said, okay, I'm not going. Now I came to study law. Nobody called me and encouraged me. But here in Islam, there is this community feeling to support each other, that love. You see, the Malappuram, I'm living here. In this Malappuram district, you go to any place, there is a love between people. You don't find any police vehicle here. You go to my place, you will find police vehicle everywhere. You know, because here there is a community of togetherness. That love is there. So that is why I embraced Islam.
But Raees, I mean, you are also somebody who comes from the anti-caste tradition, and I'm more interested to know. So thanks for sharing this. This is a very personal story, and I can imagine it must have been difficult for you to share this. But the political story, Raees, you're an anti-caste activist who's been associated with, Ambedkarite anti-caste movements for more than a decade. What potential do you see for that kind of activism within Muslim society, within the fold of Islam? Now you've been a Muslim for, it's been 5 years now. 3
years, yeah.
3 years now. So in these 3 years, you've obviously traveled within the ummah, so to speak. What has been your experience? What is the potential for an anti-caste kind of a mobilization within the Muslim community, you think?
See, actually, as you also, so you come from, though you come from a writing background, but you were in students' movement. And you know the nook and corner of the students' movement in HCU.
Just as a journalist?
Yeah, journalist, yeah. As a journalist, you know it. Yeah. So I want to bring one incident. Across campuses, Muslims and Dalits, without even knowing why they are united, they're united.
True. I saw that, yeah.
Yeah. So my question,
in the Rohit Veimula
Damsa, Damsa, you said Muslim organization. Because we had strong bonding. But nobody researched what is that bonding we all have. What is that we get connected?
It's an organic thing, you're saying.
Yeah, it is organic, but we didn't explore that one. Since my students' day, that was one urge to also understand that.
Can I offer you a provocation?
Yeah.
So in your room,
yeah,
in your hostel room over here in the morning when I was there, I discovered Ali Anwar's book.
Yeah.
And Ali Anwar is a journalist who has researched caste among Muslims.
Yeah.
And his area of research was Bihar.
Yeah.
Now, in the introduction to the book, Professor Kanchayale has written the introduction to the book. He talked about the Mandal agitation, right? The Mandal Commission movement and the consolidation that happens between Kanchiram. You have Mulayam Singh, you have Lalu Yadav, and all these people come together to implement or to push for that agenda of the OBC reservation. And Professor Ayla makes the point that at that time, the entire Muslim leadership was completely silent on that question. And he cites different examples, of course, to say that the political leadership from the Muslim community has supposedly come from the upper crest of that community, and they are out of touch with the common Muslim population. And as a result, you've never seen any mass Muslim movement ever associating with the anti-caste question, either within the Muslim community or even as a concept of Dalit Muslim kind of agitation. I suppose the only examples you can find to some extent is in this state, where you had Abdul Nasser Madani and the PDP, where he was looking at this question of caste and communalism together. So once again, from that framework, I want to ask you, what potential do you see? I can understand organically this thing happening. And why not? Of course, it had a very explosive impact because in the campus, I remember after Rohit Vemula's death, the elections that happened, though there was this joint action committee which was fighting jointly against the Hindu right or the ABVP, when the elections came, the left split from the Ambedkarite groups, and the Ambedkarite groups in turn allied with the Muslim students groups, which is SIO, Students Islamic Organization, and MSF. And we could make out that there is a lot of cultural affinity. There's a lot of shared experience.
Brotherhood feeling.
That is the organic part. But my question is actually the political part, right? In the history of India, if you look at the collaboration of Muslims or the Muslim leadership in the anti-caste question, how many examples can you find? You won't find many, right?
I have to go back to the basics of caste. Everybody, what is the literature you follow for caste? Everybody follows a literature for caste, right? That's where we root it and evaluate. This is the caste system in India. So you would say that caste is a hierarchical system. Like that you would say. From there you derive everything. You evaluate caste discrimination based on the hierarchical theory. But I'm saying that is not wrong. I'm saying the foundation of caste theory itself is wrong. So for an example, I embrace Islam. I wear a cap. Immediately you will call me as a Bai. In the South India, even Ali Anwar's book, I'm reading that book because to say caste is not about, say I lost this argument for long, but I'll just try to revamp. For example, after I embrace Islam, for everybody I'm a Muslim. If I join Christianity, but still I'm a Dalit for you. When I embrace Islam, immediately even the neighbor will come and call me I'm a Bai. This is very shocking. My next door would call me Bai, even though he knows I'm a Chaklier. He would say, no, you are a Bai. Across Tamil Nadu, everybody will call me only Bai. And they'll say he's a Bai. The reason is they immediately change their mind from Chaklier to Bai.
No, that's the personal experience. I understand the personal experience.
What has happened to Meenakchipuram? See,
telling you what actually, I don't know what happened.
They eradicated caste. There's no caste among them. See, within the Muslim community, there is discrimination. But that you cannot say that is a caste. The reason is what caste you have understand as a hierarchical system is not that. See, for example, intercaste marriage. If I marry you in a caste system, I marry you, you come and kill me. You do not love yourself. Muslims are not that. Muslims doesn't say that we don't love ourselves. The philosophy itself wrong. Caste is hating yourself. Muslims don't hate the fellow Muslims, Anwar. See, why? Okay, I'll put this way in a rude way. Even I would provoke you. Why Muslim community accepts Dalits? Simple reason is what I understood here. You call any Muslim who is ready to study like SIO, especially SIO and other groups of students, organization, you tell them you're a casteist guy. They won't get angry. They will say, okay, is it so? I will think over it. You go and tell your same Dalit, Malas or Madhya, they'll come and beat you up. Who the hell you are? Same thing you go to any Sikh, you're a casteist, they'll get angry. Because Muslim communities, since coming from oppression, and they know what to respect the fellow human being with the love, they take your criticism, even if you harass them, they take the criticism in a productive way.
But Raees, what you're saying, I can understand. I mean, it's coming from rich experience, but it is a personal experience. Well, how would you respond, for example? I mean, we have talked about Ali Anwar, but another person who is, very much part of the contemporary conversation is somebody like Professor Khalid Ansari. Right?
Yeah.
And if you are saying that there is this feeling of brotherhood and this love, then what is the Pasmanda movement? Why is there a question about Dalit Muslims? I mean, right now, there is a petition in the Supreme Court for seeking reservations extended to Dalit Muslims as well. So, what is your take on that?
As I'm saying, Khalid Ansari's understanding itself comes from the Dalits' understanding of caste. I'm saying Dalits' understanding of caste itself is wrong. That is why subclassification has come here. Subclassification is to say, see, for example, any caste association of the caste itself is an oppressive category. Among the Muslims, there might be a discrimination. You cannot say that is a caste discrimination.
But that's exactly what Ali Anwar or Khalid Ansari.
So let me put this way, other way. The caste system is something why it is so dangerous than Muslim Dalit questions. Dangerous than this, and they can never compare this because they do not know what caste is. Okay. For an example, my tone, my self-confidence in Hinduism is ruthlessly shaped from my childhood. They shaped my self-confidence. My mother would tell, don't speak loud. Don't walk like this. You always have to consider somebody else's God is there. Like a counter on the Samin Kupudu. That making me submissive is a part of the caste. Nobody studied this. And my relation of not making me enter into the temple and marrying somebody, killing me, ask them to show some evidences like this. And even then, what is the Kali Ansari stone or Ali Anwar stone? That self-confidence. Dalits don't have self-confidence. You know, as a matter of fact, I was researching tone of Dalit leaders in Tamil Nadu. All the tones are below the average of a normal human tone. This tone comes from self-confidence. Dalits lack self-confidence. Dalits are in depression actually. So I mean to say, Muslims do not face that. Muslims are considered equally. They go to the masjid and they're treated equally. At least they're not considered outsiders. Muslims are Muslims, right? Within the Muslims, there are problems. You don't come and say that is caste. Caste is not about Muslims attacking Muslims. Outsiders attacking Muslims is caste. For example, I get attacked when I'm a Christian, I get attacked by a Hindu or by a Christian because I'm a Dalit. I get attacked for everything my caste. But when I go to a Muslim, nobody comes and attacks me for caste. For an outsider, how am I? For Khalid Ansari, who is Khalid Ansari? For you, Muslim, right?
No, but you're shaping the entire experience merely by the framework of violence. But segregation, caste occupation, endogamy, these are things which are also reality, right? Otherwise, for example, in our community, in our state, I come from Karnataka, you have many Muslim communities listed under the OBC category because they are part of traditional artisanal communities, right? So they have been listed under, you have Julaha, you have different communities. Does that not indicate that there is some deeper thing? Because theoretically, what essentially in a line, the gist of what Khalid Ansari or Ali Anwar are saying is that there is endogamy, that they're not saying that the caste operation among Muslims is the same as how it operates among Hindus, but they're saying essentially that there are these things that have been part of the learned behavior of Muslims who came into South Asia. They adopted the cultural practices of the Hindus over here.
Outsider treating you something is different, and I myself treat me as a lowly citizen as caste. I myself agree that I'm a lowly citizen is a caste system. For an example, my mother would tell me, I will not sit in this chair because I'm a lowly person. Islam never teaches that. And nobody...
No, nobody's saying, see, okay, nobody ever said...
No, caste...
There's no caste in Islam.
No, that is different. Khalid Ansari will say that he'll bring literatures of books and say, that is not the point. I'm saying that what Khalid and others are evaluating caste is from a Hindu angle. I'm saying, see, community...
they also say there is a Hindu influence on...
No, that is Hindu. They say Hindu influence. From Hindu system, they took caste, they say. I'm saying that is not caste, what is there and what is here. The violence, what you meet, you creating this to that caste is not. You can have a separate word for that. I'm not disagreeing that there's no discrimination. I'm not saying everything is right. So inside a community, something's happening. I'm not saying that is also not outside this problem. It is a problem of everyone. But that is not caste. That should be some other word, because what caste we experience is very different from what they experience. So don't bring that caste to there. One more example is, for an example, Khalid Ansari would say that, will Khalid Ansari say, don't convert to Islam? Why don't he say that I will leave Islam because there is caste in Islam? He's practicing, right? Because there is some iota of equality, that idea is there, right?
Absolutely.
So therefore, it can be debated. See, that's why I'm saying when you go to a Muslim in campus, they're discussing it.
Actually, that's an important point, an interesting thing that you say. No Pasmanda movement leader ever said convert out of Islam. They said reform Muslim society. They didn't want to...
No, there is a problem. See, for example, I have to say this. I was reading this Muslim law and I felt very sad. There has been a lot of criticism of Muslims on various other issues. They did not pay attention. The court was like Dalit question also. Dalits have been this subclassification for 10 years. We have been fighting. Nobody listened. Supreme Court intervened. Similar thing happened on the Mutalaq. This question has been there. I was reading a book, then it has been, the judiciary has been interpreting some Kerala judgment was there earlier itself interpreting this Muslim question, and they were not paying attention to it. So I think that is why Supreme Court intervened. in intervening. So what I mean is, there is a criticism. Okay, that criticism, when you don't pay attention to it, somebody else is making use of it. So therefore, I mean, there is a problem in it, and they are discussing it. That's what I'm saying. When you go to a Muslim in campuses, why I'm saying is, it is not about personal relations. See, I learned because of my Muslim students. For example, Damsa was part of Muslims. We used to go and we used to have serious fights, but never once they ditched us in the back, like the left movement does in campus. We always had a brotherhood feeling. They will only take our debate as even we will take it seriously, emotional guys. But they are not. They would say that, no, there is some reason. Let us respect that view. Let us rethink about the view. And if it is wrong, they will come and again tell. So there was always open discussion. That is what we both get connected.
Now tell me, okay, so I understand your motivations to convert and things like that, and what you see as an opportunity over here. But tell me, what opportunity is there for you now as a Muslim, as Raees Muhammad, to continue organizing among Dalits?
No, I don't want to organize anybody. Seriously. Did Ambedkar try to organize? See, I'm saying that the ideology itself is flawed.
Which ideology?
Dalit ideology.
Which is
the foundation itself on caste, what you understand caste, is wrong. That hierarchy of force system itself is wrong. So I'm trying to rewrite about though it's a big word, everybody will jump, let them jump, I don't mind. I'm saying that I'm going to rewrite caste theory from the perspective of Ambedkar's Annihilation of Caste, what he wrote. He said two very important idea he brought, that there is no concept of love in caste. That is not there. So I want to introduce the concept of love in caste, anti-caste movement. And that is a primary. Rohit Vemla, I want to say this actually. Rohit Vemla's first letter, that I lost hope, there is no love. I searched for love. And that is true. Dalits are not loved by anyone. Dalits themselves also don't love. So the concept of, and Ambedkar, when he introduced in this constitution about fraternity, it was not a French concept. He took it from a Buddha's concept of love. There is no love. If there is no love, only hatred is there on caste, and you are building an association based on hatred. For an example, Mayawati will build a hatred on Chamar hatredness. Chamar hatredness will never allow monks to be together, right? Pariah's hatredness, Pariah's caste association will never allow them to marry a Chaklier, right? That is hatredness. So I'm saying this is wrong. So when you have a wrong philosophy, you cannot unite. That is why Dalits are not having a single universal idea like a Muslim emancipation theory. You do not have, you have Pariah emancipation theory, Chaklier emancipation theory, Pallar or Devendra Golavela emancipation theory, and then there is upper caste Hindu.
But you also have the Navayana Buddhist movement.
Yeah, Navayana Buddhist movement became a Pariah movement in Tamil Nadu.
In Maharashtra?
Maharashtra, the generation is great, but it is not.
Pradesh?
No, Uttar Pradesh and all, we know what Mayawati did, great things, ditching about sanitation workers. No, Mayawati, you forget. Kanshiram was different. He tried to create a universal identity of emancipation. That's different. Apart from that, Mayawati, I think she failed in Dalit movement. I think she's very wrong when she did so many things, atrocities, many things were happening. She was very quiet. As a Dalit woman and as a leader also, I don't accept her as a Dalit at all.
But again, I'll bring you back to this Buddhist movement, at least in Maharashtra and things like that. What do you think? I mean, was that never an option?
No, that was an option because Ambedkar, there was a video in Dalit Camera. Buddhist option was always a most option at that point of time when Ambedkar was there, because there were army of Ambedkarite going to each village and telling that don't follow Hinduism and asking them to remove this tilak, everything. You follow Ambedkar, Buddhism. And Buddhism was very vibrant. But after that generation, now everybody is going to tilak and going back to Hindu cultures. So that is not going to happen. But Islam, see, that is the problem. Ideologically, you should be against. Buddhist theology doesn't go against the theory of purity and pollution, permanent category. It doesn't break that. Islam says that nobody is pure, nobody is polluted. It breaks that foundation. So you don't need to ask people to, like Buddhist Ambedkar, what they did, human beings should go and tell them. Ideology should be strong. Automatically should let people to come in, grasp and be anti-caste. Automatically. But that is not happening there. You forget about Ambedkar. Don't bring Ambedkar here. Ambedkar said only one thing. He never said convert to Buddhism. Okay. He only said, I'm leaving Hinduism. I will never die as a Hindu. But how many Dalits right now? You know why Buddhism is part of also Hindu. According to the constitution.
Okay, right. Like,
And also many of your Dalits, I'll say many of your Dalits, whomever claim Buddhism, actually are Hindus. They just say I'm a Buddhist. And you go to Mahar's Buddhist. They are Buddhist. They have a different culture altogether. So don't bring this Navayana Buddhism and brand it everybody is Navayana. Mahar Navayana Buddhist, you can say. I'm using Mahar means they follow it properly. Tamil Nadu Buddhists, they just keep one Buddha statue, even they don't even pray. And they'll become an atheist. So I don't believe in that. I believe, I'm not saying Islam is the solution for anti-caste. But I'm saying since your research is nil, zero, the only immediate solution, like Periyar said, if you want to go and convert, you just wear a skull cap, your caste got eradicated. So unless and until the research is vibrant, researching every activity of caste, architecture, various, then you can say we can fight. Now nobody has studied about voice, vocal cord, or my dressing style, my depression. Everything has caste in it. Our study has not gone into it at all. So in that point, if somebody wants to have a revolution, have to have an equality, and they have to just embrace Islam. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that is the only option they have right now. If there is no option of having other option.
right. Okay, I'll leave this for now. I mean, this is a larger question, and I hope I'll get another chance to come again and follow up this question. So, Raees, now tell me, we'll leave the religion question aside. We'll get into the question of the identity that you had to carry through your life, the identity of a Chaklier. And what does that mean in the larger sphere of Dalit anti-caste mobilization? What has been your experience in those circles? I've heard you often talk about how a majority of what passes for anti-caste organizations of movements are led by certain castes of Dalits, and Madigas or Arundhatiyars or Chakliers or Mangs or Matangs are not part of this structure of leadership. What has been your experience? If you can answer that in a bit, and then we'll come into this question of the subclassification.
I'll put it very simple. See, Dalits have trained to always look up through the popular culture. They want always a leader above them. So Chakliers will always need some DMK supporters. And Parayars also will need some DMK supporters. It was only Kanshiram said that I can stand alone. I don't want any of your alliance. Because he could unite all. But Parayar leaders do not want to unite. They want to just be under some big party. If they want to be standing alone, then the universal idea would have been there, like Ambedkar or Kanshiram.
Not just, I mean, don't limit the question to just Tamil Nadu. I mean, you have Parayar adjacent communities in different states. You have the Holaya in Karnataka, you have the Mala in the Telugu states, you have the Mahar. So, do you see some kind of what is the wedge actually? What is the real divisive element over here?
No, that's what I said. The basic thing is, if you caste itself is a hatred. It will be Parayar, Mang, Matang, everybody. Every caste itself, that name comes from hatredness. What I mean is they don't allow outsiders. So it is a hatredness of somebody else. So therefore, you cannot even have any universal idea. So forget about that. If you are part of a Dalit movement, your part of a Dalit movement is different. You are part of some particular caste movement, you can never universally attach. So that is not going to work at all. So even for Chakliers, the Chakliers also, if I speak against Chaklier, if I critically evaluate Chakliers, they don't allow me. They will go after me. They'll come after me if I speak the truth. So that is why one thing which I learned from my campus, that I'll always be what I want to think, what I think, I write and I speak. So therefore, based on this idea of caste, you cannot unite. You have to have a universal idea of a concept of Dalit. And now Dalit also reduced into some other category. So that is where I find it is not possible at all.
Let me ask you that question a little differently. Again, this time I'll ask it in the context of the subclassification judgment that came in the Supreme Court. Your research paper was one of the things that Justice Chandrachud cited in his order. And can you just briefly explain to me what that paper said and what was your submission in that paper?
See, that
It was an academic paper
Yeah.
that was quoted.
See, that is very interesting. This is about reservation, okay?
Mhm.
So we have very less time. So
Yep.
I just want to in short, I would want to say. See, reservation, when they introduced in India, there were two concepts. One is that this community is not being allowed to enter. That is one concept. The other concept is they are underrepresented. Let me put another way. When the Britishers were ruling, Brahmins wrote a letter to the British asking them, give us some space reservation for Brahmins like us to represent Indians. So it was not a merit, okay? The concept of merit was not there. Brahmins did ask, give us some space that equal voices be there. Ambedkar himself, he said, he was not allowed to teach somewhere. Ambedkar himself said that Mahars did not were allowed to study in schools. So therefore, he said government schools should take Dalits mandatorily. So that is how reservation concept came.
To protect their seats.
Not protect. No. There's a different. The wording is different. It is to stop getting harassed by the others. So basically, reservation policy was based on that. Not to be harassed by those people who don't take us otherwise. So there was no any other option. The only option was giving an entrance exam. You cannot ask 10 people to join. 10 people to join, this seats are available. You can't do first come first. You can't do that. So write exam. Whomever scores the highest mark in that list, you come. But you will mandatorily be put into the place because otherwise they won't take even them. The Brahmins won't even take Dalits who, if there is no reservation, no Dalits will be entered into academics. So reservation was to protect us getting harassed by the others. Okay, that is the point. In that, actually, 1950s, there was a judge who intervened and he said, this is about all people are not equal. Everybody comes from a different social status. Therefore, we need reservation. See, now it shifted. And we Dalits were very silent. We left it open. From that shifting, it went to the merit argument. They started saying, everybody is not equal is fine, but we cannot give it for every job. So this came to merit argument. The first argument was null and void. Interesting in subclassification, this merit was not there. They went back to the first argument that everybody is not equal. They're getting discriminated. Arundhatis are otherwise not allowed. So therefore you give reservation. So subclassification reservation is to say everybody is not equal. All Dalits are not equal. They're all individuals in my sense. For them it is Arundhati, Chaklier, Madhya, Mala and all separate clause. For me, how I see that judgment is telling everyone in this country is not equal to any other. There is no concept called Chaklier. For the administrative purpose you can keep, but that says that caste is there with everyone. That's what interestingly I found. And my argument was that Arundhatiyas and women were raped by a pariah men. And it was a very strange case. I do not want to go to that. Should I tell that case?
It's okay. But you made the broader point.
Yeah. So that case actually. So that case was reported and I took that case and I was writing about it and there were many other cases also around it was happening. So Chandrachud took that argument and also he took two other references also what I did because there was this Navasurjan did a great work.
Navasurjan Trust Gujarat. Huh?
Yeah. They said that 99.9 kinds of discrimination is there between Dalits and 98 discrimination kinds of discrimination between Dalits and non-Dalits. You see how much we hate each other. And when that report came, Navasurjan faced so much of backlash. Dalits should have said that, okay, forget, we will sort it out. Nobody is saying that sort it out. They said, why do you give them that hatredness? So I feel that,
that hatred that you talk about, some would argue that this hatred is a result of the way caste is designed, the architecture itself, which is that in a village, you will have two outcast communities, one for people who work in the field, one for people who work in conservancy, scavenging, or, leather work and things like that. And those divisions have existed for millennia. And there is also it's also mixed into legend, it's mixed into myth as to how these two communities originated. That the entire Dalit question is not the question of one homogeneous identity, that there are these two types of workers, that the caste.
These two getting divided is not an issue. Okay, the issue is, for example, temple does not have toilets, I said. Okay, so many of the big caste in houses also will have toilets outside. But even a scavenger will have the toilet outside. That is a problem. So even he believes, a scavenger who cleans the toilet also believes the toilet should not be allowed inside. So therefore, caste is not about a pariah identity. When I say hatred, it's not about caste itself. Is about to uphold the values of caste, which is hating others, not comfortable. See, you keep your toilet outside. You don't build toilets for your women. Women are going for open defecation, right? How many Dalit women have houses with toilets? Men doesn't even bother, right? So therefore, the hatredness is what I'm talking about. Caste is all about not humans, including pariahs, including Chakliers. Nobody is about Chaklier's welfare. No, humans' welfare. No. They talk about the caste welfare. What is the caste welfare? Not marrying others, not allowing inside, and not respecting our same women as same human beings, and considering your own mother as a dead body, and considering somebody else, your mother became a bad woman, somebody else have to come to your house and clean it. What nonsense is this? It's all about some values. You live and with that values grounded in hatredness of a human. You don't love your shit. I'm not saying you love. You know, in South Africa, when they were protested because of some sanitation issue, they poured the shit on the ministers. Can you imagine Dalits pouring shit on a minister here? He'll be shot dead. Here, Dalits pour themselves and their own shit. See, when you shit, actually, it's two things I say, and I'll conclude this part. Two things. When you see your last mother body, after that you say this is a dead body. It's a bad omen. Similarly, your shit also. When you shit, you see your shit and see whether you have disease. After that is a bad omen. It becomes somebody else's property and you don't even consider it actually. So the dead body and the shit here are considered as a bad omen and bad thing. So because the culture is that. So in that culture, you can never have human relationship with the love. So that is what Rohit Vimla said. I searched love everywhere. And he said even ASA there was problem of love. So the concept of love was nil, he was telling. And that is why he committed suicide. And I see that many Dalits are in depression because there is no love. They don't know what love is. So I mean that love concept has to come against this hatredness. So that is where I would...
Okay, so I suppose we'll leave it there for now. That was Dr. Raees Muhammad and his ism. Many of you would have had love is his ism, he says, but you would have agreed with him. Some of you might not have agreed with him, but at least I hope this discussion helped you figure out where you stand and what your ism is. That's all I have for now. But before I go, I want to thank Knowledge World and the Islamic Mission Trust, the IMT Law College, which made this happen for me. This beautiful studio was provided by them. I want to give a special thanks to the 3 students of this institution who helped me with the production, Hassanul Banna, Ahmad Shabib, and Ali Fahani. Thank you so much, guys. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sudipto, for your search in ism. I understood because I know you very well. You are also searching many things in Dalit movement. And so you have been doing this series on ism. I hope that you also come up one day. I'll bring that as Sudipto's ism, what it is.
My ism is to listen to all of you. Journalism.
Yeah. That is great, like a Dalit Camera. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.